Welcome back to the Strata Automation technical channel. In this video, I'm going to be covering the settings and commissioning features in OCN version 3. Starting with the settings here, our three options are users, connection, and about. So in the users, this is where I can do all my management for my users. So you'll see here, these are some of the default roles and their names. If I want to tweak these, like the passwords, I can go in here, click the pencil icon. I can change the password for any of the pre-existing ones. I can also go and delete all of them by clicking the trash can. Notice I can't delete the admin role. That's the top level, so that gives me access to all the features. I don't want to delete that one, but I can change the password if I so choose from admin as the default to whatever I'd like. If I want to create new users, I'll hit create user. I'll give it a username. So this is what they'll type in, obviously, for the username when they log in, the password, and then their role. Currently, you're only able to select from these predefined roles. Eventually, that will change, where you'll be able to kind of specify exactly what they get access to. But for now, they are stuck with these. But these give you a pretty wide range of control. So viewer is view only, so they can't interact with anything. They can only see like the live view in the dashboards. Building manager, you can override a few things and get a more involved look at the systems. Technician, you can change configs and tweak some more stuff. Setup gives you a little more access than technician to see the rest of these features here. And then admin gives you full access to everything. And I'll show you what some of those look like in a bit. Outside of users, we have connection. This is where I'll establish the connection to my backnet network. Here, I gotta enter my IP address information, subnet mask, and then the backnet port I want to use. Once I hit connect, it'll tell me successful or fail. It'll generate a connection ID for me. This is useful for things like Node-RED, where you're passing traffic between networks. You might need to know your connection ID. Legacy support. This is for legacy support devices, but typically you can just leave this as disabled for default unless you're having issues pulling in those legacy devices. And then for time sync, you can either do automatic, so every so often based on this interval you set here, or you can force it to do a time sync right now to all your devices on the network. And then about, this is where you'll see information about your server and your license. So you can see the current version of software you're running, status of your license, current time information, when it might expire, how many texts or emails you've used of your alarms. So just some general information about your server. You can also change the theme. So if you prefer dark mode, you can change the theme your server to dark mode. Moving on to commissioning, we have more tabs across the top here. First one is firmware update. The first thing it's going to show you is that whether or not Node-RED is running in the background. So before you update any firmwares, we do recommend that you stop Node-RED. It can cause failed firmware updates or corrupted firmware updates unless you stop Node-RED first. But if I want to update my devices, click update. I'll choose which devices I want to update. So here you can see the current version that the device is running, as well as the new version that would be uploaded. This is based on the firmware library that is on the server, and I'll show you how to manage your firmware library right after. I can either do select auto or start update. So if I were to try to update this device here and hit start update, it would begin update. Obviously, I'm not going to update this one, but if I were to, you see it update here, and then it would give me a progress bar here and then a pass fail at the end. For managing firmwares, if I select files, I can choose files from my local machine to upload as firmware files, and then they'll show up here in my library. Once they're in my library here, I can see obviously the device that they're for, the version number, the name of the file, the size of the file, and then I can choose to delete old versions, or I can wholesale delete everything. You can also drag and drop files. You don't have to hit select files to navigate. You can just drag them from whatever folder they're in on your local machine. Wi-Fi password management. This is where, specifically OpenStats with the Wi-Fi module on there, I can edit the passwords on those. So I don't have to be connected directly to the stat. I can do it through my Ocean server and do it that way. So if I click edit password, it will allow me to set a new password for the Wi-Fi network, the OpenStat, rather than having to go through the OpenStat directly. Air balancing. This is our onboard air balancing tool. So you'll see here all of my controllers that could possibly be involved in my air balancing. I have this command drop down here for all of these controllers. So I can set airflow that I want to do, send the action or cancel the action. So I can set all my airflow commands that I like to do, hit send, and then I can watch it change, as well as take my measurements, and then tweak as need be with all of my factors here and my min and max airflows, and tweak my duct area as necessary. Once I'm done, I can export to CSV, and that'll generate that air balancing report with all these values here. I/O reports. This is where, for first-party devices, I can generate I/O reports. So if I click select device, and let's do that OpenStat like we were looking at before, you'll see in the spreadsheet down here, it generates an I/O chart that matches up based on the analog inputs, outputs, and binary outputs. It tells me exactly what that I/O is controlling or monitoring, as well as the type of input or output. I can also add information here. So if I want to add some notes, I can add those here. And then when I hit File and Export, that'll save it to my local machine here. If I were to save this one, you'll see it'll save as an Excel sheet. And then I can open that up, print that as a PDF, whatever I want with it. So now I have an I/O report that matches how my device has been configured in the systems page. Finally, we have PCAP management. So this is where my Wireshark files, after I do a capture, they'll be available here, and I can offload them from the server to save them locally on my machine, or see all previous Wireshark captures. And then lastly, for the different login levels, I hit log out here. I do manager. Let's do viewer. So you'll see on viewer, I expand all these. My only options, no matter what controller I click on here, are live view and dashboard. I can select which dashboard I want to view, but I can't change anything. Same goes for trends. I can only view trends. I can't do it really any damage. And then for the alarm console, I can't acknowledge alarms. I can just see them. So can't configure alarms, but I can see all the alarm configurations. And I can't change anything outside of what I want to look at. Same goes for, I can see the information about server, but I can't change anything. So we have all of these delineated, what you have access to and what you don't, available in our documentation, rather than go through every single thing on a video here to save you some time. But feel free to check that out if you'd like more information about what you can see and what you can't for different login levels. But that's going to be all for this video. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.